This is episode 552 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by Eventing Writers Association of North America. This week we have Hoy Fonseca and newly minted Director of Eventing, Jenny Autry. This is Max in hot, sunny, but great to be home, Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Joe from overcast, wet, hot, sticky, but beautiful Ocala, Florida, and you are listening to the Eventing Radio Show. So, Max, how was your drive down from Calgary?
It was a long one. It was a long one, but it was cool.
Killer.
Yeah, it was a killer. But I tell you, we had 2 layovers. We stopped twice, and I tell you, that Spruce Meadow is one freaking cool place. It is awesome.
Sure is.
Yeah, it's pretty magical place for the jumpers to be in. There's sort of everybody there. You're like, it's the who's who. It's pretty cool. Poor Scott, I guess. Sometimes I'm like, are you in the right class? Weren't you supposed to jump in the earlier class? So yeah, it is awesome. It's a cool place, but it was the end of a whirlwind trip, Wisconsin and Portland. And then I went to UC Davis to meet see their program, which is awesome.
What's that,
the UC Davis is trying to put together a sports medicine wellness program there, which is actually going to be pretty cool. So you can take your horse and just to get a wellness overview, not even like, why is my horse lame? It's sort of more like, am I doing everything I can to make sure my horse is really well so he never gets hurt? So it's kind of cool. And the woman, Dr. Sue Stover, who works there, she does a lot of work on footing around the world. So that was super cool. So, yeah, long drive home, but it's good to be here. And I leave again tomorrow, Joe, to keep going. Ha!
Goodness me. No rest for the wicked, Max.
I know. And you've just had 2 weeks at Chat Hills.
I did, actually, and it was fun.
Yeah.
We did this is the first time ever, did the back-to-back Chat Hills. So we arrived on the Thursday and prepped ourselves Friday, competed Saturday, Sunday. The upper level horses went first thing in the morning and our days were over by 12 o'clock. So dressage and cross country on the Saturday, and finished at 11:30, and the following day show jumping, first in the ring or whatever, 8 o'clock in the morning. So the upper level horses are finished before it got seriously baking hot.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then in the lower levels where the horses aren't, stressed quite as much, that don't have to go quite as fast, go on sort of throughout the day. We had little bits of rain sort of over the first weekend, and the footing was very, very good because, Georgia clay can get a little bit red and hard and stuff. Yeah, it can get very baked. And so with a little bit of rain, and towards the weekend between, it didn't really rain enough, and I was kind of starting to get a little bit about it, Yeah. And then on Friday night, the heavens opened, Max.
Nice.
And they really did. It poured and poured and poured, massive thunderstorm, and there was even puddles of water on the ground, and the footing was as close to as the most perfect Chat Hills it could ever be in the middle of summer.
That's
so
great.
we were very, very lucky. We had I don't know if the listeners all know, some listeners will know this, but there's a lake at Chat Hills that we can go and swim in. And so I swam in the lake almost every day and took the dogs down for a swim and things, and it's just so much fun. And we love doing that. And Hugh and his wife Brooke and the staff of Chat Hills put on a large barbecue for 4th of July. That was just fabulous. Yeah. Started at about 6 o'clock, and there was chicken and salads, and people brought their own beverages. It was just fantastic. They did fireworks at a bit after 9 o'clock. Everybody swam and ran on the docks and things, and it was just a really, really good time. So yeah, it was cool. And that was on the Thursday. The Wednesday night before, twilight jumping, I was, Max, you love this one, last in the ring at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, I was because
so
it was
cuts into cocktail time. Jeez.
Well, I did that night, but it was quite funny because I asked them if they could. I asked them if they could do like a meter 25 round.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, sure we can, but we'll put it up at the end. Well, what had happened was that the scheduled time to start was 3:00, and they got all these entries, so they decided they would start at 2. And what happened was the local people that didn't know that the time had been, well, the 18-inch jumpers all turned up at 3, and there was an absolute pile of them, and so it just went on and on and on and on.
Oh my gosh!
But it was cool. It was great. So yeah, 2 weeks there at Chat Hills was fantastic, and the rest of the time, the non-horse time, was just spent relaxing and having a really good time.
And we have to say your show jumping coach, our friend Kirk Webby, just won the Grand Prix up in Vermont over the weekend. So congrats to Kirky for that.
I didn't even know. Did he really? That's fantastic.
Yes, he did.
I'll have to give him a call. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was good. He went very well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. And what else, Max? I mean, like, what else have you been up to?
What else have I been up to? I did a super clinic up in outside of Milwaukee at I'm in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, with Megan Walty and Bonnie Bozeman, and that was awesome. Those guys were super. They had me up there for 2 days to talk about different horsemanship aspects of our sport and other sports. We've had everybody from a first time, someone that's about to buy their very first horse ever, to a hunter jumper trainer, and that was super cool. So that was fun, and I do another one in Maryland and one in Massachusetts and stuff like that. So that's actually becoming something that I'm doing more and more of. So that's cool. What else we had? We had Maryland horse trials recently for the Pan Am. American Pan Am horses did their final run outing, which sounds like all went very successfully, as did the Canadians up at Willow Bend, Willow Run, Willow. So I'm probably getting it wrong, and I apologize, but I can see it, and I've been there, and it's an awesome spot. So sounds like all those horses had a great final outing. And Barbary Castle was this weekend. Yes,
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
And that's another big FEI competition with a lot of European type horses, and the Brazilians had their final outing this weekend there.
They did, which we are going to hear all about, and it looks like Andrew Nicholson won Barbary Castle again. I
mean, how many times has he won? Like 5-6 times? He wins it.
Must be.
Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah.
Didn't he used to go and just win Barbary Castle and then go and win Burley and then just do it again the next?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, nobody would see him, and then he'd sort of appear and just sort of kick everybody quietly. He never sort of came out and doesn't, have the 19 in the dressage and sits on that. He just sort of goes and gets it all done as best he needs to. Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. But, yeah. Right. So, I'm just trying to think what else we've got going on down here, Max. We've got, it's just summer. It's that time of the season where it starts to rain and you're just constantly mowing your grass.
Yes.
Heading off down to Venice to do a little bit of show jumping.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Venice is super. Yeah. You'll enjoy that.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really set up really nice down there, and it is 5-minute drive to the beach, which is lovely, and
they're very efficient there. I feel like the rings are usually done by 2:00 in the afternoon, which is so nice.
Yeah. No, it's a really great little show, and so we'll go down there, and I've got the children coming, Max.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I'm really excited about. So we're going to have to get the little pony out and get him in a bit of work and things, and which will be cool. Getting ready for a few Notting Hill show jumping days.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep.
Clear round. Bit of clear round jumping and cross rails and things. So yeah, no, that's cool. And obviously a bit of Disney.
Always some Disney. Yes.
Oh, us big kids love it. So
exactly. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. No, us big kids love it. Yeah. So yeah, but well, anyway, Max, we've got quite a bit of show to get through.
Yeah.
But first, we are going to listen to this message from Pro Elite Feeds.
When it comes to feeding your horse, are you sure you're giving them every possible advantage? With Pro Elite Horse Feed, you can. It's the only horse feed to offer unparalleled amino acid profiles for enhanced performance, regulated starch and sugar levels, the best digestive package available, and nutrition-locked formulas that are crucial to overall health. Combined, these advantages create a winning formula for your winning horse. To learn more about feeding your champion, visit www.proelitehorsefeed.com.
Joining us now is one of my very best friends, godfather of one of my children, the one and only Hoy Fonseca. Hey, Hoy, how's it going?
Hi, Joe. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, very good.
I guess you guys are pretty hot over there. We're still enjoying the British summer over here, which is like winter for you guys, but yeah, we're fine over here.
The British summer. I mean, it can be anywhere from like 2 weeks to 2 months long, can't it?
Yeah. Or I mean, yeah, we had like one good week.
Off, a week on, a week. Yeah.
You had a week of summer, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a Brazilian summer. That's for sure. Yeah, it's not a Copacabana summer. Yeah.
No. Well, anyway, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, and I wanted to have a little chat to you this time because we've got a few things coming up. And before we talk about your lovely wife Renata's new baby, I want to talk a bit about the upcoming Pan Ams and trip to Peru and all of that sort of stuff. So why don't you just tell me how's it looking for you guys and how's it looking for the Brazilian team?
Well, Joe, we had like a long the first part of the season. I mean, we had a long list, which was like about 18 riders on a list, and that list ended up cutting to about 8 riders, and we had our final run at Barbary Castle last weekend with the 5 riders that will go over to the Pan American Games. Yes, I mean it's an exciting team. I mean we got some good old experienced riders with some young horses, and some newcomers as well, like kind of doing the debut in the team, like a young fella that's based with Mark Todd, Rafael. He's only 21.
Yep.
Rafael Lozano. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix, but I think in the end they pick up the best combinations, and it was a good run for everybody last weekend at Barbary, and we're exciting. Like it's all about organizing now the final details. It's logistic-wise, it's very difficult for us. We're probably going to be the ones that are going to be coming from the most far away to Peru. I mean, it's no direct flights from here, from Europe to Peru, so it's difficult for us at the moment. We're being like very restrict for what we can take over, and it's the plane will stop actually in Brazil on the way to Peru, so the horses are going to have a long trip, and hopefully those horses will be with a lot of health when they arrive over there, and we can have a bit more time to recover. We decide to go a little bit earlier, so giving the horses a bit more time in Peru to recover, and we see how it goes. You know how it is. It's always difficult when you fly the horses from one side to the other side of the world, and hopefully now the horses keep health, and we can arrive there with the best horses, and I can ready to perform.
So let's just talk a little bit about the flight and things. So it's going to be, if I can remember, it's around about 10 or 11 hours from down to Brazil. Is that right?
Well, it starts, Joe, like the horses, they will need to go to Amsterdam and stay a day and a half there on that horse hotel. So it's like a road trip from England to Amsterdam. And
that's our favorite. That's our favorite horse hotel, by the way.
I know, we do love it. I know, and the yummy cheese up the road.
Yeah, cheese and
Exactly.
clogs.
Exactly.
Yeah, cheese and
The
clogs.
cheese and clogs up the road, and then just as a sideline, you can get the bus in and do the
Yes.
Heineken
Tour.
experience like Max and I did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was because there was no direct flights. We had two options. One was going like via via Miami, but the horses will need to quarantine there for a week, which was not good, like losing. So we have no other options. I mean, in the first schedule, like they want to put us to arrive on the 27th, 28th, which is the same date that I think the Americans will arrive and a few others. But for us, it was going to be after a long trip to arrive just 2 or 3 days before the first vet inspection.
Doesn't give you much time. Yeah.
Exactly, not much time. And I think for the health and safety of the horses, giving them a little extra couple of days over there. So we decided to go a week early, which was not easy to get that confirmation for the organizing committee and all the logistics department. So we managed to do that. So we're going a week early, and the horses will get more time to recover. And I think FEI was very agreed with everything that we asked, and the organizing committee as well. So I think it's fair on the horses. For us, it was just the first thing was to give the best possibility for the horses to travel well and recover to such an important show for everybody as Olympics qualifications and everything. Yeah.
So what happens if the horses travel to Brazil? How does that affect them traveling back to Europe? Because because just so our listeners know, if you have a horse that's in Brazil and you want to take it to England, the horse has to come up to North America for a period, a quarantine period, before it can ship to England. So how does that work with you? Or do you stay in a quarantine situation in Brazil, or how does that work?
Well, Joe, that's the horses won't get out of the plane. They will go from Amsterdam to Sao Paulo, and they will stay in the plane for 3 hours.
Right.
And from those 3 hours, they're gonna go directly to Peru. So they're not unloading in Brazil. So they're gonna go. That shows you how difficult it is for us and to keep those horses' health under control. So so they go from Amsterdam to Brazil, which is 11 hours flight, and they stay 3 hours in the plane. That's what say hopefully will be even less than that. And they go from there directly to Peru. So if you put all together, by the time they load in Amsterdam, which is normally 2 hours before, 2 or 3 hours, plus 11 hours, plus 3 hours, plus 5 hours, plus unloading in Peru, we're talking about you guys going from California to Miami. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
It's a long time. I think we'll be, in my view, will be like nearly 22 or 23 hours by those horses putting the heads down. So it shows you how hard it is at the moment for us to get all those 5 horses over. But it's the only way. The other way was going to cost much more money to quarantine in Miami, but then the horses will lose fitness as well by being a week in Miami doing no work. So it's very tricky,
We'll just let the listeners know also, when we talk about quarantine in Miami, that means nobody's allowed in. Okay, that means you know, it doesn't mean we'll quarantine. There are some nice quarantine places around the world where you can work the horses and you have facilities and things like that, but no, not in Miami. And it means that it's someone comes in and they feed them some grain which isn't your grain that you've used, or it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
It's a big upset in their schedule.
Yes. I mean, right. I was chatting with Liz Halliday, because she's the traveling reserve for the American team, and she was at Barbary as well. And I think her horse is going a week later, but on the same schedule. Yeah. I think her horse is going on the 26th or 27th, but doing the same way. And I already kind of said to her, because we're good friends and we always trying to help each other. It doesn't matter if we're going to be competing against each other. We're long-term friends. And I said, it's going to be a long way. But, the horses are fit, and we've been really well looked after from the vets, and everybody's trying to do the best. We have some good vets going with the horses in the plane. We had another bunch of vets in Brazil allowed to go in the plane and he hydrate those horses and see the horses if they're okay. Very high level of top grooms going as well. So hopefully it all should be okay. But the decision to go a week earlier, I think it makes a lot of sense. To give those horses a couple of days extra just to arrive over there, have 2 or 3 days on the easier side, and that's when us riders supposed to arrive over there and walk on.
So Max, Hoy and I, when we travelled to places like Barocca d'Alva and certain events, we used to leave a few days earlier, didn't we, Hoy? Because we like to acclimatise as well.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's called acclimatise.
Yes.
And Hoy and I would say to each other, I think we should leave a few days early so that the horses and the riders can acclimatise. So, it's very important. Very important.
It is. To make sure you know where to get provisions so you're never under any stress. It's very important.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, a lot of when we used to go down to Portugal, and I'm still going, and I nearly try to go every year. But people actually end up following what we're doing, because when you're traveling for 3 days down to Portugal, a lot of people that done in a day and a half or even 2 days, they end up arriving over there with horses, sick horses, and they end up missing the show. I mean, it's not much of the rush. Okay, on the way home, you can actually rush home in a day and a half or 2, but at least you've done what you're trying to achieve, was to go over there and have a great show, early qualifications and things like that. But I mean, what's the point? I mean, sometimes 24 hours can make a lot of difference when you arrive with a safe and healthy horse. Yeah, so that's how.
No,
how
it makes a huge difference, and we're a little bit the same, but on a longer scale. I split the trip to Bromont into 2. The first day is a real killer, 16 hours, and the next day is much more reasonable. But you're absolutely right, and I leave a couple of days early because just so that the horses have time to get there and just time to freshen up, and you don't have to start seriously working them straight away. It's just much easier to leave them, on that. So tell us about your team. I mean, you've spoken about Raphael. Who are the others in the team?
Yes, we got 5 riders going. We don't know who is the reserve yet. I mean, we just had our team vet over after Barbara checking all the horses, and he's here for 3 days. He's going back tomorrow to Brazil, and he's going to give the report from all the horses. All the horses seems to be okay after Barbary. So we're going to know who's going to be the reserve in a couple of hours, or maybe in the next 48 hours. But yes, I mean, so it's we've got Carlos Paro, which is, everybody knows Carlos. He's very experienced and a very exciting little mare, which he's been doing quite well lately. He run at Tata shows, at Barbary, and a few other shows. I think on that level, she can be very competitive, and got Carlos on board, which is, he's very experienced and he knows what he's doing. And we got Marcelo Tosi, which is another rider that he rode at Kentucky this year, and he's been to 2 or 3 Olympic Games.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
He's riding a different horse. I mean, he's got 2 horses on the list, but he's got a lovely 8-year-old, which was bred to do dressage. So I think he won mostly all the eventing dressage shows that he's been on. He's he wins that phase. He's always been up there. I mean, he's normally on a 75-80% all the time. Yeah. So he's good. He led actually Barbary last weekend on his section, was 110 riders, and he scored, I think, 24 and 25. But he didn't have a good show jumping round, which was very unusual for that horse, because he did won Barocca and he won all the other prep shows like during the year. So he's an exciting horse. He's an only 8-year-old. Was bred for his girlfriend Anna Ross Davies, which is a pure dressage rider here in the UK, and he ended up took the reins on that horse, and he just ended up doing eventing, and he's doing well. So he can be. I mean, in my view, if he's in the team, which we don't know yet, he can be actually up there on the first day, and you never know. I mean, he's an only 8-year-old, and then but he's capable of doing a good job. Yeah. So this is Marcelo's horse, and we got Marcio Appel, which is he rode at WEG last year. He's riding his old horse, which is a 17-year-old horse, and he's done the Olympics at Rio as well. So I would say he's the most experienced horse of the lot, but maybe Marcio Appel, he's not the most experienced rider. So it's a bit of a mix there together, but they know each other inside out. So I think it's a good solid combination for the team. And it's Raphael and myself. So I mean, those are the 5 ones, which I'm riding a really nice 8-year-old, which is a very new horse to me. I mean, I had him since he's a 5-year-old. He's an Irish horse by Diamant Semi, which is a French show jumping horse on a thoroughbred mare, which is a very good breeding on there. And he did Le Lion d'Angers as a 6-year-old with a double clear, and he was placed in Barocca this year and a few other shows. I think he's an exciting horse for the future. I mean, I still think he will learn a lot going to his first championship, but in my view, he's got the brain. He's never spoke of anything. He can go to very hot arenas and he can perform. But I would say he was not like a horse that I would think I would be like in one of the tops after the dressage. But he's very capable of finishing his dressage score. He's a good jumper. He's a very serious horse. I mean, I'm very excited about him, and I think he can be a proper horse from the future.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
It's do you know what, Max? There's quite a lot of depth in there's I want to say depth in Brazilian riders. Like you say, this person might not be experienced, but actually, you've left out. There's a lot of other really good experienced riders, Brazilian riders around that just don't quite have the horsepower right at this moment, isn't there, Roy? I mean, like. It's not like you look around and say, oh, well, we've got 3 people or 4 people or whatever it is. There's actually quite a lot of Brazilians, and it just comes down to who's got the good horsepower at the time.
Yeah, and we are a little bit, Joe and Max, like we are in a transition time. Like we, unfortunately, like Marshall George, that rode at Kentucky as well, and his lovely grey horse, Coronel MCG, he ended up selling that horse for one of the top young riders over here in UK. And he did have another horse, but he broke his foot like on a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I would say like 2 months ago, and he was out of getting his qualification with that horse. So and Nielsen as well. I mean, it was
these are the people I'm thinking of. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
And Nielsen was qualified as well, but I think when the selectors put everybody on like inside of the same pot, Nielsen ended up out of the final 5 horses, which is very hard decision for the selectors, because if you put all the combinations that are on the team, they're all pretty much matching each other. Like, it was a really hard decision this time. It was like, I wouldn't say it was one rider was definitely on the team. Everybody was kind of fighting for that spot. I think for a long time they had to think about the selectors this time, because on that level you can actually bring some other riders to face to a championship, which is great. The Pan Ams is a big thing for everybody, and it will mean a lot this year, because I think will be a big competition between the Americans, the Canadians, the Brazilians, the Argentinians, and the Chileans. I mean, you never know. I think every show you should not under respect, because everything can happen. Like, I mean, we all go there with the same chances, knowing that some of the guys are the favorites and some of the countries are the favorites. But I take very kind of, anything can happen. Yeah. And we never know. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a really important for North America. I would say in Central America, this side of our hemisphere, that's a really important competition because of the Olympic qualifications for all the teams that are going. Because none of them are qualified, and it's just the top 2 teams that get to go on to the Olympic Games, isn't it?
Yes, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, this is like, I think probably will be one of the toughest Pan Am Games, because the last one, we knew that we were already qualified as a host nation for the Olympics. And that's why actually we did took a strong team, because Mark Todd was our team trainer at the time. And he said, okay, we're going to take the best because we want you guys to win. But we didn't have the pressure of to qualify for Rio. And we were very close by. I think we were only 5 or 6 points behind the Americans on the team. And unfortunately, I lost my individual goal at the last minute.
Oh, that was oh my gosh. I was there and watched that. We were cheering so hard for you. That was.
I know that I had a lot of American support on that as well.
Yes. Oh, we're so sad for you.
But it was, I think this is a different bunch of riders from the Brazilian team. I think, as I said before, we have 3 riders that are very experienced on different horses, and we have one rider that's maybe is not very experienced on a very good horse. And we got Rafael, which is the new upcoming rider. He's a very talented rider. He's got a really nice mare. It's just now, we need to perform. And when you go to the other side of the world and facing the Americans and the Canadians, I think it can be a tough competition, but I think it's durable. I mean, you never know. It can happen. I remember at Toronto having a 5-star rider, falling off at number 2. You know what I mean? So it can happen to anybody. It shows you that show is show, and we should not underestimate it. If it's lower level, higher level, or the other countries, we need to perform thinking it's as Max said, it's Olympic qualification. We're going to fight hard for it.
Yeah. That'll be exciting.
I know. I hope we can get to watch a bit of it, Max.
I know. I wonder how.
Probably won't. Yeah. But
we'll probably just have to see everybody's home videos on Facebook later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, it's going to be a great competition. I mean, it's everything to play for. There's Canada, Brazil, there's America. There's been, the team selections are out now, and Canada has a strong, I would say, team. And America has, who have we got, Max? We've got
Tammy, Doug, Boyd, and Lynn.
Right. And so, yeah, that'd be a fairly strong team as well.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I don't think that's in some years where it's been one team stands out above the rest, to be honest.
No, everybody's got work to do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a fair crack for everybody. So that's what's going to make it really exciting. So, so you go to Peru and you win the Pan Ams. Actually, it wouldn't be the first time you've won the Pan Ams, actually, would it? Tell the listeners about the first time you went.
Yes, this will be my 4th Pan American Games. My first one was back in 95 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and that's when we won gold for the first time as a team. And I flew over. I used to live in New Zealand, and those times that's when I met
Friday. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we flew over from New Zealand to Buenos Aires. Actually, I flew over from New Zealand to Fiji, and Fiji to Hawaii, Hawaii to LA, quarantined there for 5 days, and all the way down to Wellington and stayed there 17 days. That's when I joined the American team and the Canadians, and we went down to Buenos Aires together. So it was a fair long, it was a great long trip. Yes. And,
well, actually, it's a great trip if you get to stop for 3 or 4 days at each of those
Fiji.
destinations without a horse. Yeah,
it was just
to
fill up the plane.
I want to get off. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get off. That was
let me off.
Yeah.
Fiji, Hawaii, Los Angeles. Oh God.
Yeah, it feels great, but it was pretty. Luckily, I was on a thoroughbred, and he arrived in Argentina just like the week before, and in those days we're still doing the long format on the CCI 3-star, so it's pretty tough for him. But we managed, and the team managed a great job. So this was our first, actually probably the biggest win that Brazil ever had, and that puts the sport on a different level back at home. And since of that Pan Am's, we managed to go to all Olympic Games and Pan Am Games and bringing medals, because that's what Max was saying before. The Pan Am's is such a big game for us, because if we end up with a medal, the Olympic Committee back in Brazil, that's when they support with the funding to go to the next Olympic Games, and that's when the money comes around, and you can prepare hopefully for Tokyo next year. So it's very important, like the Pan Am Games, especially for Brazil. I mean, medals means a lot, and so that was the first one, and after that I went to Mexico in 2011, Guadalajara, and we ended up with the team bronze there, and in Toronto. So we had the team silver, and I had the team bronze, which was until the last fence, which is So yes, Joe, it's been good. I mean, it's 4 medals. This will be our 4th Pan Am's, and hopefully we can bring something special out of this one. We're gonna try. We know that's it's some favorites out there, but it's competitions are competitions, and we never know what's going to happen. So hopefully we can achieve what we're looking for, which is the main target is the Olympic qualification. But if something happens, plus, then that will be amazing.
Yeah, well, that's very, very exciting, and we wish you all the best of luck for that. And I wanted to just talk to you about another couple of things. I mean, you've sort of been in the time that you've been up in England, Great Britain, or sort of Europe. You've sort of done a stint in England, a bit of time in Holland. There was a trip back to Brazil at one stage, and now you're sort of more firmly based in England. That's right.
Yeah, Joe, we are very luckily, like me and Renata, about 2 years ago we got a new place here in England, which is it's great. I mean, we've just been refurbishing and developing all the place again. Will be a base for anyone and everybody, or every friends around the world that wants to come over this way. It's
like myself. I can't wait. Yeah,
like yourself, and like
Max, they've got our rooms ready already.
Oh, okay. Fantastic! So for early next year, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
excellent. And we'll have to go early, Joe, to get acclimatized.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
I
we
like
will.
Exercise, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as you know, Joe. I mean, like you've been working hard enough over in America, and we've been here. I've probably been here for more than 20 years, and to have your own place, it's a great feeling, and you actually having a place that you can actually receive friends from all over the world to be based here before the major championships or badmintons or Burleys or summer. So we're always this is our profile over here. It's not a big stables, but like it's a place that anybody that wants to stay here short term or long term, it's pretty central. It's not far from Blemen Palace and Badmintons in those areas. I mean, so we're developing a new I would say like a question center, but a little base for friends, and it's been exciting. It's been a lot of hard work. I mean, we still haven't got the horses here yet because we, as you know, the permissions over here in England to get all what you want, it takes time. But we're getting there.
Yeah. Awesome. And tell us about the new member of the family.
Yeah, no, Cecilia. Yeah, Cecilia, she's been great. Yeah, she's
How old is she
5 months.
now? 5 months. Yeah.
5 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's doing well. She's been a great little girl so far, and we exciting that she was going to have her first trip to Brazil in a couple of weeks to meet everybody because she hasn't been down.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness, That's going to be that. Like the relatives is going to be like a rugby scrum, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting over that child. I can just see it now. You know, and this is what happens, Max. People like me and Hoy, we get daughters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's someone. It's a little bit of payback, isn't it?
Karma. Yeah.
Carlos Parra got a son. Hoy and I get daughters.
Yeah.
And what else? They're beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because you guys picked beautiful women to have babies with. That's why.
Man. They're just like. I know. I mean, like my daughter and your daughters, Joe. They're just beautiful, like the father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good looking,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
some people may beg to differ, but I'm going to stick with that. I think that's pretty cool. So, but yeah. Well, anyway, Hoy, best of luck with the Pan Ams, and I'm so excited to hear about the new place and how well it's coming on. I haven't told you yet, but I'm going to come over and visit you in September. So I'm pretty excited to come over and see how the new place is coming on and see how things are going and stuff and that sort of thing. Good luck for the Pan Ams, and good luck with Cecilia, and we hope to talk to you again very, very soon.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and talk to Max as well. Are you going over to the Pan Ams, Max?
I will not be at the Pan Ams this year. No.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That would be a rare competition for Max to miss, actually.
Exactly. I know. Most of the people traveling from this country have longtime grooms going with them. So I think that's which is awesome.
Max and I almost went. We almost had a job.
Yeah, we did.
Team. Yeah, we almost did, but it just didn't quite pan out. But otherwise, we would have been there with you, Hoy.
I mean, anything that you guys maybe need some information or anything, how we're getting on over there. I mean, we can always help with trying to find out if they're going to show live or links or anything. So if you guys want to keep in touch with us, we're always here to help. I mean, and hopefully it will be a great competition for all of us, and whatever who's taking the medals is because they deserve it. And I think for us, the biggest challenge is for those horses to get there with health and safe, and after that, we see how we're all getting on. So we're really looking forward for it, knowing all the challenges ahead. But I think we are in a good position to deliver it and do a good job. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome, Hoy. Well, thank you so much. And
such big luck to you guys. It's with all the travel and everything.
Thank you very much, Max. Yeah.
The Eventing Riders Association of North America is the collective voice of riders, equine professionals, and owners in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
And joining us now is the newly minted Director of Eventing for the USEF, Jenny Autry. Jenny, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Max and Joe. I'm delighted to be joining you.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on the new job. This is all very exciting. And tell our listeners a little bit about what your job is going to entail.
Well, I don't fully take on the role until August 10th. The amazing, indomitable Joni Morris is still in the role until then. So essentially right now, my role is really to get up to speed as quickly as possible. So I'm moving on Saturday, and I start in the office on the 15th in Kentucky. So a little bit of a whirlwind right now as I'm packing up house and getting ready to go. And then really it's going to be about putting my head down in the office next week and getting up to speed as quickly as possible. There is an immense transfer of knowledge that needs to take place, and I want to really make sure that I can fully grasp all the different pieces of the role and make sure that I'm setting myself up well for the rest of the year and ultimately Tokyo, because the Olympics are coming extremely quickly. So
Yes.
One of the first big things will be going to the Olympic test event next month in August. And that will really be a time where we want to dial down exactly what we want that timeline to look like next year leading up to Tokyo. And then we will crack on from there. So it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm really excited to get started.
So you now in Pennsylvania, just so our listeners know, you're now living in Pennsylvania and you are now about to move to Lexington, Kentucky. Is that right?
That is correct. I am packing up my husband and my cats and moving in 2 days.
Oh my gosh. Well, from spending enough time in Lexington, it is a really cool area. It's awesome down here. It is good. It'll be good. It's hot, but it's good. Well, that's all. Yeah. Very
it's one of those
exciting.
things where, we go to Kentucky every year for the 5-star, but I never really venture much beyond, the hotel or the media center and the horse park. So now I get to really explore, which I've heard is a fantastic city and a great food town. So I'm definitely
great food town,
excited about
great
that,
live music. Yeah, I mean, it's a college town. There's just lots to do. There's airports, and I just find that I like it. I like the downtown.
I love it.
It's good.
Yeah, me too. I love it up there.
Yeah, it's good. It's once
awesome.
You get out of the, it's like you said, you get so myopic when you're here for the 3-day event that you forget that there's this whole other part of the town where there's so much happening. Yes. Oh my gosh, that vineyard was so good that we went to that one night. Oh, it was delicious. Yeah, it was great. That is great.
Yep.
The job. So just so people know about the job, you're not just doing the high performance. You're going to be doing the whole shebang. You're the director of eventing, which entails a lot, doesn't it?
Right. I mean, it really does touch every piece of the sport beyond high performance. That's one piece of it, and maybe the piece that people see the most when they look at the job. And obviously everyone sees Joni at the event, so thinks of it that way. But a lot of it is also working with the USEA to strengthen that affiliate relationship and make sure that their programs are able to flourish. And of course, the USEA plays such a big role in growing the sport. And Max, that will be a big thing on your plate too next year. So we'll be working together a lot more.
Exactly. I know. It's awesome.
And of course, also just making sure
I think it should just be one. I think they should amalgamate. I just think there shouldn't be two things. Just had to say that.
Well,
no, you guys aren't going to agree with me, but I mean,
no, I get where you're coming from, but
like
the way
British
the affiliates
eventing.
work,
It's British eventing.
Yeah.
Well,
just saying.
Right.
That's a whole nother topic for different.
Topic.
Yeah, we can open that can of worms.
Maybe you two can do something about it then.
That's right. When we rule the world.
Yeah, we will work on that, Joe.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then everything for the FEI and rules and licensing and all that stuff. I think people don't quite realize what it all entails. It's huge. So that's yeah. So
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about everything from running the budget to managing grants to working with the marketing and communications department to, you know, working on travel and like you said, rule revisions, licensed officials. I mean, it is a big job. And one of the things I've learned right away as I'm starting to get speed is how amazing the USEF staff is. I feel like this is so much less overwhelming making this transition because they have such incredible people who are already in place who are going to help me make this transition smooth. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things is, you know, needing to know that those people are available to help and really making sure I'm utilizing my team. So that's definitely been a big thing right out the gate. And I'm so excited to get into the office with them next week. We've been emailing and calling each other, but it'll be great to actually be able to have face-to-face time and really get started.
Yeah, it makes a big difference when you're actually there and you can sort of go in and, like you say, the face-to-face time, nothing's ever going to replace, an email's an email, but face-to-face is so much better, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting transition for me because I've not worked in an office for 7 years because of Venting Nation.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I work from home when I'm not on the road. So going back into an office is definitely going to be something that's new for me. It's going to be a lot of change, but I'm definitely excited for it and ready for the challenge.
And speaking of Venting Nation, I mean, this is sort of, you've been like the face of Venting Nation for years now. So this is huge to transition out of that. But I guess you, in some ways too, you've worked, you know, you've got so much intellect with the high performance and the FBI rules and all that kind of stuff. So that a lot of that knowledge is just going to transfer over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting because I started working for Venting Nation in the fall of 2012, which is when Joni got the job.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
One of the first stories I wrote was interviewing her to announce her getting the job.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, now 7 years later, I'm getting it. So honestly, that interview and knowing that she had such a communications background and that was one of the big things she brought to the table, kind of planted a seed all those years ago. And it's always been something that I've thought about. So as I've pursued the journalism and been able to get, you know, invaluable experience, especially traveling to the Olympics and the World Equestrian Games and Pan American Games and, you know, every major event, really. It's definitely always been something I've thought about is what could possibly be a next step. And I'm honored and humbled that it's happening. So I can assure everyone Venting Nation will be in very good hands. I do have to completely step away. It's going to be a total clean break. I'm stepping away from everything, all of my other, you know, freelance side projects as well. So it's definitely going to be change, but honestly, I think change is good. I think it's a great time to bring new, fresh voices to Venting Nation as well. And the team is the best in the business. The reporters are so incredibly dedicated and talented and creative. So everyone, please continue reading and supporting the site.
I think it's one of those things that everybody just sort of goes to and, you know, they sort of wake up in the morning, they're drinking their cup of coffee, they look at Facebook, you look at Venting Nation, you're like, what's happening in the world, right? Or it's always like, our link is like, where's the link to the results? And I always just go straight to the Venting Nation day page because it's the quickest way to get to the results. And I do it all the time. I'm like, oh God, well, they've got the best. Oh, how do I get on the live feed? Oh, they know. click, so you guys sort of become the go-to for all that. Yeah. Oh, wow. That is cool. That is cool. So tell us what are you most looking forward to in this job?
Yeah.
What am I most looking forward to? It's definitely a time of change in a lot of ways for the Federation. And, you know, Eric Evander, our high performance director, is still fairly new in the role. You know, it's only been a bit over a year. And so we essentially are going to be creating a new era and one that we obviously want to be a lot more successful. So that's the thing I'm most excited about, is creating that blueprint. And of course, working with a lot of stakeholders. You know, there are so many people who need to have a seat at the table as we look at restructuring the program and rebuilding. So that's going to be my first real goal, of course, getting up to speed in the office, but then I need to hit the road and talk to as many people as possible and make sure that we're really doing everything that we can to understand the current landscape of the sport and where it is, and then where we ultimately need to be going. So that's what I'm most excited about, is to really dive in and have those conversations and dig into the nitty gritty of what everyone is thinking, and then be able to bring all of that back and formulate it into a plan. So it's going to be a lot of work, in the trenches, really collecting that information. And I'm chomping at the bit to get started at it.
But I guess what do you see as your biggest challenge?
I think it's just, the way I interact with the sport is totally changing. So I think that's definitely already been very jarring as far as, how I'm going to, be interacting with the riders is totally changing. It's been a relationship as a journalist, and now it changes to a relationship as the managing director of the sport for the country.
But
so I think
the cool thing is that you've already got a fairly good relationship with a lot of the riders. It's not like you've got to go around introducing yourselves and getting to know them. It's not like you've come from a different country. I mean, it's like, and I want to know, my question is sort of going from being a journalist to a more organizational role. I mean, that's kind of the difference, isn't it? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's very different. I think what people might not realize is how much, behind the scenes I was involved in the management and ultimately running Eventing Nation as a business. So I think from that standpoint, I was already doing a lot more of that. And what I realized along the way is my real strength lies in managing people and really creating effective teams who can produce excellent outcomes, whether it's reporting at the World Equestrian Games or, going on and being successful at a championship as a team of riders. So I think that's the biggest difference, is switching over to the management aspect. But I've really kind of already been behind the scenes with EN. Of course, it'll be much different and on a broader scale, but that'll be a big change. But I'm definitely excited for it and ready for it.
Cool. This is good. I'm excited. This is going to be great.
I am too.
Once you get the move over with.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that's not terrifying but more sad is I'm not bringing my horse with me right away.
Oh no! I was going to ask that. I was going to ask what you were doing with your horse.
Yeah, my sweet horse Derry. He's staying behind with Jimmy Schramm for now, because I really am very committed to making sure that I am giving 100% of my time right now to getting up to speed in the role. I just feel like that's so critical. So, it's one of those things where with a role this big, things have to be sacrificed. And so that's one of those sacrifices I'm going to make right now. But I will also be keeping an eye out for where I guess I want to ultimately keep him in Lexington. So I'll have to pick your brain about that, Matt.
There is some great play. There's some good spots here. There's some beautiful places. Yeah, there's so much to do. Yeah, it's cool. It's a very exciting time. That's really cool. That's awesome. And so do you get to go to Peru, or are you just going to hold the fort down at home and get your feet in the mud and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I will be at home. So that's definitely a big change. I'm now not going to.
Yeah.
And of course, that was always the plan all along for Joni to be the team leader, which is great. That means that there's been that same consistency and coherence all along is going to continue through Lima. So that was definitely an important decision that needed to happen. And then it will be essentially right after Lima, things transition fully over to me. So yeah, I will have my head down. I will be at Rebecca Farm for the North American Youth Championship. Yay. I know. So that will be really exciting to be able to start to get to know all of the kids better in the emerging program. And we have such talented athletes coming up.
Yes,
and of course,
which we will talk. You and I will talk business-wise about that more at Rebecca Farm.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
We will.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of exciting things going on right now.
It'll be interesting to be there without your reporter hat on, with your USEF hat on. It'll be a cool transition. You've been to Rebecca Farm, haven't you?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh! Well, you are in for some sort of a treat. It is probably, Joe, wouldn't you say it's probably one of my top in America? I mean, next to Kentucky, it's one of my top events, actually, in the world. Yeah. It is such a great competition. They put on such a great competition. It's so beautiful, and the weather's perfect, and just great.
No, it's gorgeous. If you're lucky enough to be able to get there, and every year I always I really want to go to Rebecca, and it's just, it never quite figures out as close this year again, and I really want to get back. First year I went was way back in 2011, and it was just fantastic. But yeah, no, it's highly worth going to.
And they do.
And of course, the Broussards play such an instrumental role in the sport. So I'm so excited to finally get to see Rebecca firsthand.
Yeah.
And I've just heard they put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, it is. They treat everybody like they're at the their biggest competition in the whole world. It's so great. They're so fun. It is good. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. So you'll be, hit the ground running, traveling, being. Yeah.
Whirlwind commences now.
That's great. And that's great that for you guys, that your husband can move along with you too, hey?
Yeah. Well, he's going to still be looking for a job. So he'll kind of be coming back and forth for now between Pennsylvania and Kentucky, but we're hoping that, he can get something really soon and it won't be, too long before he can. But yeah, so putting all that positivity out into the universe that he'll find the perfect thing really quickly.
Yeah, very cool. That is awesome. Well, Jenny, we are going to let you get straight on back to your packing. I could imagine it's a little daunting. But I mean, we will obviously see you more and talk to you more. And we're really excited, and congratulations. And this is a start of a cool new era.
Yeah, well done, Jenny. It's just excellent that you're taking on this position, and best of luck.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me on the show.
It's going to be awesome for Jenny to have that new job, Max.
I think it's great. Yeah, it is great. I know the whole process took quite a long time, and I think they had to have their applications in sometime in April. So it's been a long sort of process, but this is I think it's going to be great. She's got so much knowledge to bring forward, and she knows, she's been to so many of the competitions of the high level stuff, and even in the national shows too. She's been to so many of them. She is a competitor too, which is also really cool, which is something Joni does, which I think is really cool. So, they've got their feet in at that level as well. So I think it's going to be kind of cool. I think it's a good transition.
Well, it's not as mind blowing when you go to a 5-star at the other side of the world or in Europe or something, and sort of what's going on already, and how it works.
Exactly.
So, and hopefully that she'll be able to, do a really good job. I'm sure she will. I'm sure
she's a friggin' hard worker. So my guess is that she's really will. She's gonna buckle down and give it her 175%.
Now, talking about the Pan Am Games, Max, how do we even watch, Max?
That's a very good question. It is the eventing. The dressage is first, and that's the 28th through the 31st. The eventing is August 1st through the 4th, and then the jumping, which is going to be, the jumping is seriously competitive, because you've got, if you think about it, the countries that compete in South America, Central America, North America are very, very competitive teams. So that'll be interesting. The Americans obviously have already qualified for the World Equestrian Games, for the Olympic Games. So from their win at WEG. But I think some of these other teams are vying for their spot at the Olympics, because they didn't qualify. So you've got, if you think Mexico's got a really strong team, Brazil's got a very strong team, Canada's got a really strong team. All these little countries we forget about that have these incredible riders and horses and everything in the jumping. It's a proper, because I guess what it is eventing is, for us, it's an intermediate 3-day, but the jumping, it's proper. It's seriously hard.
Right. That was my next question.
Yeah,
for you, Max.
It's right at the level. Yeah.
It's at 5-star level, is it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's 5-star, but it'll be 4-star for sure. It'll be big enough. Yeah. It'll be higher, because the dressage is, they step down a level, and so does the eventing steps down a level, but the jumping is right at the top level.
Wow.
Yeah.
But those names of those countries that you just rattled off, they are stalwart countries at the best of times.
Yes.
You always see Mexico and Brazil and Canada at the Olympics, don't you? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Or a representative from Mexico or something. These are really good teams, and then throw in the rest of South America, and because they've got some great horses and great riders.
Yes, exactly. So that's That's going to be really cool. Yeah, there's if people want more information, the website for the equestrian is looks like it's lima2019.pe. So that should be have all the resources and schedules and links and all that kind of stuff that we want to get to quickly, as we were saying on Eventing Nation, the quick click type of thing.
Yeah.
But it'll be it's exciting, I think, and the eventing, even though it is only at the intermediate 3-day level, it's going to be, I think, a very, very stiff competition with some seriously good riders and nice horses.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we chatted with Hoy, it's not all cut and dried by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, there are some talented combinations going, but anything can happen, and it's not like one team is head and shoulders above the rest. I don't think. I think that there are 3 very strong teams, and then will be other individuals from some of the other nations as well, and other teams, and they're only getting the
team that makes the least
stronger.
Mistakes. Yeah, the fewer mistakes is going to win, because it's all a very talent pool wise. It's going to be quite strong. So I think it's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah. It is exciting.
Yeah.
It's great for the sport. Well, Max, it's got to that time where you should start doing some of the end bits.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Eventing Riders Association of North America podcast. Wait, but before I say that, I have to say the last time Joe and I were recording, I was at the Starbucks in Georgetown, Kentucky, and I have to give a shout out to Colin Smitherman, who goes to the Georgetown Starbucks and sent me a message saying that she was pretty sure it was her truck that was so loud during our recording. So big shout out to her, and thank you for listening to us. I don't probably think it was a massive red dually, so I'm not sure it was with you. It was you, but we want to give you guys a shout out, for listening to us. Anyway, back to it. You can learn more about Eventing Riders Association of North America at eraofna.com. You can find the links to today's guests and topics at eventingradio.com. Follow Eventing Radio on Facebook. Just search The Eventing Radio Show, and on Twitter at Eventing Radio. Listen to The Eventing Radio anytime, anywhere with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store, search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe via iTunes. Thanks again to Pro Elite Feeds for supporting the show, and don't forget to mention the show when you place your order for a 15% discount and free shipping. This is Max, and you can find me on Facebook, Max Corcoran Horse Care. You can find me on Instagram at MMC338, and you can find some of my old blogs at Max Corcoran WordPress.
This is Joe, and you can find me on Facebook, Joe Meyer. You can follow me on Twitter, Joe Meyer, EVNTR. You can go to my website, joemeyereventing.com, and you can find me on Instagram, Joe Meyer Eventing. Righto, Max, it's been another fantastic show.
Yes.
And you probably want to get off and get yourself some sleep.
Yeah, quick nap before I have to drive to Virginia tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
Me.
I know.
My goodness me.
Well, no risk for the wicked, right? It's the glamorous life that we lead.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, Max. Okay, listeners, we'll talk to you again in 4 weeks' time.
Bye, everyone.